Welcome into the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from our respective homes here on this fine Monday afternoon. We'll be here with you for the next couple of hours discussing local, regional, and national sports topics. And glad to have you all with us as we do so. Wade, what's going on?
Man, what's happening, Mo? Good to be with you. Good to be with everybody. It is a glorious Monday here, and the sun is even shining. It was already a great Monday, but then the sun is out, and yeah, things are good. We got a big show to get into this afternoon.
We really do. Looking forward to it. In the second hour, we'll be visiting with Willie G. Ramirez of WGRamirez.com, talking a little women's professional hoops. A lot going on in the women's pro ranks with WNBA free agency getting going here this week, and Athletes Unlimited, Athletes Unlimited heading to Nashville, starting their season next week at Municipal Auditorium. And oh yeah, this unrivaled 3-on-3 thing has got legs. Obviously, a lot of interest in that here over the last 2 weeks. Willie's going to shed some light on all of that for us here in the second hour. In the next segment, we will be joined by Kevin Ingram of the Vanderbilt Radio Network. Another big weekend on the hardwood for Commodores, both the men and the women. We'll be getting into that with Kevin. Looking forward to it. And hopefully his pay hasn't gotten docked as Vanderbilt tries to come up with the $500,000 that they're going to have to cut the check for after Saturday's antics, we'll say. But, if he's like everybody else on that campus, I guess he'd be willing to chip in a little bit on that. But we'll talk more with Kevin on, again, the Vanderbilt men's and women's basketball programs and their recent success here in the next segment. We'll be talking more college basketball because it's not just Vanderbilt that's rolling right now. We'll also be talking some football. There were a couple of fairly significant ball games yesterday, and there's one more still out there. So Dallas finally has a coach. I'm sure their fans are excited about it. Looks like the Tennessee Titans have made some staff additions as well. So we'll get into all of that later in the show as well. We talked about the Preds last week and that 5-game win streak. Well, it's no longer. Sad, pour one out for the Preds, but yeah, it's tough trip to Anaheim apparently, but we'll talk more about that later in the show as well. And just plenty to get to. Big show, a lot going on, and we are happy to get into it with you all. So stick around, it's going to be fun. It is nice outside. I've not been out, but I've looked out, and I don't think it's one of those looks are deceiving kind of things. What are we? We're in the mid-40s.
Yeah, heat wave, Mo. It's just north or just shy of 50 degrees, but yes, the sun is out, so we might as well be on the beach sipping a Mai Tai with temps like this right now.
Well, enjoy it because wait a minute. No, this is just the start. We're going to break into the 50s tomorrow, and 62 is the projected high for Friday. So, trust me, I'm not auditioning for Bree Smith's spot, but we are trending upward here over the next few days, and I'm all for that. So let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the next couple of hours. Let's go ahead and get started on things with yesterday's results. I'm sorry, this weekend's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Before we lock and load on the Monday Rundown, I want to remind you guys that each and every single Monday, our Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education right here in Murray County. So give them a call today. That number is 931-388-5831. or you can visit zioneagles.org and schedule an appointment today. That's Zion Christian Academy, where they are prepared for college and equipped for purpose.
Let's get started with some high school basketball scores from Friday. Summertown with a 71-10 win over Battle Creek. It was Blackman defeating Rockvale 59-43. Nolensville defeating Brentwood 44-36. Lipscomb Academy with a 48-39 win over Christ Presbyterian Academy. It was Cheatham County 53, Hickman County 48. Clarksville with a 68-27 win over Clarksville Northeast. Clarksville 68, Northeast 27. There we go. Clarksville Academy 70, Friendship Christian 35. Clarksville Northwest edging Henry County 51-50. Warren County with a 36-21 win over Columbia Central. It was Cookeville defeating Lebanon 53-45. Donaldson Christian 53. Davidson Academy 40. Eagleville with a 62-56 win over Fayetteville. It was East Robertson defeating Knowledge Academy 76-15. Ensworth with a 56-37 win over Pope John Paul II. Ezel Harding on this list has a 2-0 win over Mount Juliet Christian. I don't think that's a forfeit, though, because as we have mentioned on numerous occasions, Mount Juliet Christian does not have a girls basketball team this year. Sycamore 61, Fairview 26. It was Father Ryan 42, Harpeth Hall 25. Franklin defeats Ravenwood 66-24. Franklin Christian 39, Zion Christian 33. Green Hill doubles up Gallatin 42-21. Station Camp with a 34-25 win over Greenbrier. It was East Hickman 35, Harpeth 33. Beach defeats Hendersonville 51-30. McKenzie 58, Houston County 54. Hume Fogg with a 53-45 win over Maplewood. Jackson County falls to Watertown 58-53. Dixon County with a 68-43 win over Kenwood. Stewart's Creek defeats Laverne 60-37. Lawrence County 44, Marshall County 30, and Lewis County 50, Mount Pleasant 24.
Other scores coming in from Friday night. Girls action, Liberty Creek was a 48-25 winner versus Trousdale County. Lawson turns back Martin Luther King 36-33. It was Creekwood 52, Montgomery Central 17. Giles County with a 41-40 win versus Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Big win for Giles County, Mo. That was their first ever win since joining District 8 AAA last year. They went 0-10, and they were 0-3 to start, but a good win for an up-and-coming GCHS team Friday night. Nashville Christian with a 55-37 win versus Good Pasture. It was Page 61, Independence 48. Portland on top of White House 53-33. Providence Christian 52. Franklin Road Academy 42. Richland all over Culleoka, 62-40 in that Friday showdown. Also scores from Friday, Oakland defeating Riverdale 65-44. It was Santa Fe 41, Hampshire 30. Shelbyville picks up a big win, 55-32 versus Spring Hill. Rossview 59-48 to the good versus Springfield. It was Summit 59, Centennial 19. Valor Collegiate, similar score, 66-12 over Glencliff. Webb School defeats Columbia Academy 54-43. Westmoreland edging White House Heritage 43-21. It was Whites Creek 71-9 all over Kip Nashville. Wilson Central closing our girls scoreboard with a 47-39 win. That one was over Smyrna. Boys basketball scores coming in from Friday. Summertown put up 102, allowed just 25. Huge win for Summertown, 102-25 versus Battle Creek. It was Blackman 65, Rockvale 36. Brentwood on top of Nolensville 46-34. Lipscomb Academy 65, CPA 48. Hickman County was a 57-40 winner versus Cheatham County. Friendship Christian 70, Clarksville Academy 55. Henry County was a 57-50 winner versus Clarksville Northwest. And Warren County took care of Columbia 57-50.
Also, Cookeville with a 50-37 win over Lebanon. Donaldson Christian defeated Davidson Academy 48-40. Eagleville all over Fayetteville 84-26. Pope John Paul II with a 70-62 win over Ensworth. It was Ezel Harding 94, Mount Juliet Christian 40. Sycamore getting Fairview by 10, 64-54. Montgomery Bell Academy with a 57-52 win over Father Ryan. It was Franklin 70, Ravenwood 51. Franklin Christian defeated Zion Christian 74-54. Green Hill edging Gallatin 73-49. It was Station Camp 71, Greenbrier 46. Harpeth with a 51-49 win over East Hickman. Beach edging Hendersonville 46-45. McKenzie 76, Houston County 54. Hume Fog Downs Maplewood 80-45. Overton 56, Hunters Lane 23. Jackson County with a 68-32 win over Watertown. Dixon County gets by Kenwood 48-46. It was Kirkwood 45, West Creek 30. Laverne with a 74-52 win over Stewart's Creek. Marshall County 74, Lawrence County 68. Mount Pleasant with a 64-52 win over Lewis County. Liberty Creek 51, Trousdale County 9. Wow, okay. Lawson 53-47 over Martin Luther King. It was Joe Burns 67, Merrill High 53. Creekwood with a 65-49 win over Montgomery Central. Giles County getting the sweep in Murfreesboro, defeating Murfreesboro Central 69-35. Coverage of both these at PulaskiCitizen.com. Good Pasture 83, Nashville Christian 46, Independence 47, Page 36. Portland with a 51-47 win over White House. Providence Christian defeats Franklin Road Academy 67-52. Richland doubles up Culleoka 73-36. Ooh, big win for the Raiders. Riverdale 85, Oakland 81. Santa Fe downs Hampshire on senior night for the Wildcats. 55-24 for the winners there. Shelbyville 75, Spring Hill 38. Springfield with a 52-49 win over Rossview. Centennial edges Summit 70-67. CCCHS. Webb School of Bell Buckle 2 points better than Columbia Academy 48-46. White House Heritage 52. Westmoreland 26 and Smyrna 70. Wilson Central 61.
Other scores.
No, that's not right. Stop.
All
Smyrna
right.
71, Wilson Central 60. There we go. Got my one
Nailed
in the
it.
wrong place.
Women's basketball from Friday night. Belmont picks up a 90-65 win versus Evansville. NBA action. It was the Grizzlies 139, Pelicans 126. Let's flip it to Saturday now. Girls basketball scores from Saturday. It was Christian Community 38, Highland Rim 28. Grace Christian out of North Carolina defeats Clarksville Christian out of Tennessee 61-58. Spring Hill was a 38-33 winner versus Columbia. Dixon County on top of Waverly 62-25. Hickman County all over Harpeth 54-34. Macon County 89, Kip Nashville 13. Frank Hughes with a nice win 44-39 versus Mount Pleasant. It was Oak Ridge 74, Oakland 57, and Richland cruises 50-34 versus East Hickman. Back half of those doubleheaders, most of them at least, from Saturday. Columbia was a 68-60 winner versus Spring Hill. Dixon County took care of Waverly in big fashion, 82-49. Hickman County 59, Harpeth 35. It was Kip Nashville 36, Macon County 33. MBA 57, Chattanooga Prep 45. Oak Ridge 76-43, a winner versus Oakland, and Richland cruises 80-57 versus East Hickman. Women's college basketball games from Saturday. MTSU with a nice win, 61-43 versus Louisiana Tech. Central Arkansas picked up a 1-point win, 51-50 versus Austin Peay. It was Lipscomb 85, North Alabama 76. Auburn Montgomery 67-60 over Trevecca. Fisk picks up a 5-point win, 59-54 versus Voorhees. University of the Cumberlands defeats Cumberland 71-59.
Men's basketball action from Saturday. Lipscomb with a 68-55 win over Central Arkansas. Vanderbilt, we keep asking if Memorial Magic is back, and apparently the answer is yes. 74-69 over then number 9 Kentucky. Belmont with a 95-77 win over Murray State. Middle Tennessee State falls in Ruston 75-69 to host Louisiana Tech. North Alabama 88, Austin Peay 84. Number 1 Auburn downs number 6 Tennessee 53-51, survives a late 3 from Zakai Ziegler to win that one. The Tigers do. Trevecca 88, Auburn Montgomery 76, Fisk 84, Voorhees 67, and University of the Cumberlands 103, Cumberland 98. From the association, the Grizzlies stay hot 125-103 over the Jazz. From the ice, the Preds do not. 5-2 they fall at Anaheim. Sunday, women's basketball action. More winning for Vanderbilt, 66-64 down at Alabama. Belmont with an 88-58 win over Indiana State. And from the NFL, our Super Bowl is set. We'll talk more about this later, but Philadelphia 55, Washington 23, Kansas City 32, Buffalo 29.
Let's bring this thing home, folks. Your schedule for tonight, it is brief, but we do have a schedule. Double headers in high school basketball beginning at 6 o'clock. You can catch Rockville at Eagleville. Ezel Harding is at Friendship Christian. It'll be Battle Creek at Forest. FC Boyd Senior Christian is on the road tonight at Franklin Classical. Franklin Road Academy, FRA, will host Columbia Academy tonight. Dixon County will be at McEwen. Knowledge Academies is at Merrill Hyde. Frank Hughes will be at Zion Christian. Standalone girls game, we show St. Cecilia Academy at East Hickman. That game tips off at 6 p.m. Women's college basketball tonight. You can see South Carolina at Tennessee beginning at 6. That game is going to be shown on ESPN2. And in NBA action this evening, the Grizzlies will be at Madison Square Garden taking on the Knicks. 6:30 is your tip-off time. You can see that game on FanDuel Sports South. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your Monday schedule, and that concludes your Monday Rundown.
Your top story brought to you, as always, by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia. Wade mentioned South Carolina and Tennessee will jump it up here in a few short hours. 6 o'clock on ESPN2, and no need for double takes. That will be Kim Caldwell on the sidelines for the Lady Vols, just 1 week removed from giving birth to her first child, Connor Scott Caldwell. And, you know, obviously this is pretty much unfamiliar territory for both Wade and I, but coming back a week after giving birth blows my mind.
Seems shocking, right?
It really does seem shocking to me. And I mean, and kudos to her, and kudos to all the women out there that do this. I mean, it just a week, and it's not like coaching in the Southeastern Conference is not stressful, you know? So I mean, my hat's off to her. She, again, gave birth on Monday. The only game she missed was Thursday's 80-76 loss out at Texas on Thursday night. Jenna Burdett was leading things from the bench there, and they nearly pulled that one off. Again, Tennessee 15-4 coming into this matchup against South Carolina. All four of those losses in Southeastern Conference played by a total of 8 points. But Caldwell quoted in an article on Yahoo Sports, "It was not great. It was uncomfortable, but you get to see it from a different perspective. I was proud of our team, but it was not my favorite thing to do as a coach to stay home and watch my team." Coach, you just gave birth. It does give you a little bit of a different view maybe, but not really, because you always go back and watch the broadcast anyway, so you will watch it clipped up and kind of in live stream. It was more of a helpless feeling than anything else. And the dedication, and I mean, she sounds disappointed that she had to miss a ball game because she was giving birth. She was back at practice on Friday though, so she missed the game. She was there the next day and letting them know that Thursday's performance needed improving on. So, you know, I just, a lot of respect here, and I'm sure in all corners. Again, getting back to business just a week after giving birth, it's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. It kind of has been a crazy developing story, and it just takes another interesting turn. What dedication, what respect. Obviously, you know, she's in a great situation to do this, which is worth pointing out too. Props to any moms. Props to all moms. But
Right.
Props to any moms that are in this type of situation and are able to do that or capable of doing that, because like you said, this is unfamiliar territory for me. But the fact that she's already, back at practice, got a crazy stretch of games. They're all tough in the league, but especially you got South Carolina coming to the crib tonight, certainly makes it all the more intense. So this will be a wild, wild situation, but major kudos to Coach Caldwell and the Lady Vols family for rallying here.
Yeah, and to your point, to all the women out there that do this, I mean, like you said,
by choice or not, right? Yeah.
She's got a heck of a support system there, obviously, both at home and on a professional level, and not everybody necessarily does. So to all of the women out there doing what Coach Caldwell is doing, and there might be some listening to us feeling like we're overblowing this thing. We don't know. We're just guys, but it seems pretty mind-boggling to me. So, again, respect to Coach Caldwell and good luck tonight. They'll need it against number 2 South Carolina.
Crazier part too, real quick. She said she was dealing with the flu when she gave birth, so just to add a little extra measure. Therefore, the rest of the Lady Vols, they haven't met. I love this quote. She says, "We have a lot of germs on our team right now." So nobody on the team has actually got to meet
Connor Scott.
Yet. So so named after the middle name of her husband in honor of her late father. So a cool story. But the Lady Vols are having to get a little healthier before they can get their hands on the newborn.
Good for Mama Caldwell. Makes sense. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Sorry, got my sponsors mixed up. When we come back, we'll be joined by Kevin Ingram of the Vanderbilt Radio Network. Stay tuned. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new, handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and a North Pole village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
The Monday Mirror continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, that's Wade Neely, and we are pleased to have with us now from the Vanderbilt Radio Network, Kevin Ingram. We neglected to get your INGRAM logo up, Kevin, and I apologize. But
look, man, we had a deal here. I come on the show, you guys put the INGRAM logo up, you know?
Yeah, well, we
you
will
understand what a disappointment this is for me.
Well, hey, you're not gone yet. So producer Mark has been known to work wonders. I've seen it today, so we will see if he can get that up at some point here before we let you go. Kevin,
all right, fair enough.
As a Kentucky native, I know your allegiances are a little split on the events of Saturday, but tell us about Vanderbilt 64, number 9, Kentucky 69.
Yeah, my allegiances are not split when it comes to that matchup. Of course, pulling for the black and gold. Gosh, it was so much fun on Saturday, 74-69, big 5-point win. And, the second top 10 win in as many Saturdays for our Vanderbilt team. Really been playing some good basketball. Those are sandwiched around a tough road trip down to Alabama, which Vanderbilt played really well in the second half. But as far as the game against Kentucky, it was a great atmosphere. It was a packed house. And, of course, there were quite a few Kentucky fans in the house, as you might expect. But I felt like our guys played one of their best halves of the season in the first half, led by 14 at the break. You knew Kentucky was going to make a run. They're a really explosive offensive team, and they could put some points on the board very quickly. They outscored Vanderbilt 31-10 to start the second half. But then I thought our guys just made some plays, settled down, made some buckets, and just did what it took to get the game to the finish line. You had a big 3 by Tyler Nickel. You had a big putback by Devin McLaughlin, some steals. Tyler Tanner was terrific, the freshman. So you just had a lot of different contributors. And Vanderbilt didn't exactly just seal it off at the free throw line at the very end, but made enough shots and enough plays to get the job done and really score another signature win, which when you talk about building a tournament resume and all those things, I mean, those are big ones that will help you as the season goes along here.
When we discussed Vanderbilt during the preseason and during the pre-conference portion of the schedule, Kevin, a lot of concern was there with regards to Vanderbilt's size or lack thereof. I mean, have we put that to rest at this point?
I think, Mo, to a certain extent. We've seen Devin McLaughlin and Jalen Carey both have really nice seasons. And Jalen, I mean, the guy's 19 years old and he's out there. I mean, he's got the, a big body where he can really shove people around to get to the basket and use that to his advantage. Devin McLaughlin is just an experienced guy who's played a lot of college basketball. He played at Boston College before here and understands what it takes to be successful in a power conference. Both those guys have really nice seasons, and both are really instrumental in the win over Kentucky. McLaughlin had 14 points and 6 rebounds, had a couple big steals, a couple big ones down the stretch. Jalen Carey, 10 points and 6 boards. Both guys stepped out and hit a couple 3-pointers, which was really important. At times in certain matchups, I look out there and say, man, I wish we had like one more big guy. Like I wish we had a 6'10" dude we could stick out there, especially in a game like Alabama the other night where it felt like they brought wave after wave of 6'10" players. Or that game against Mississippi State where they're so strong all over the map, especially in a spot where you could use a little more physical presence or another big to help you on the glass. But those two have done a terrific job. Vanderbilt has sort of worked around maybe some of the things that might have been perceived weaknesses going into the season. And we've seen Coach Byington just tighten up the rotation. We've seen 9 players in SEC play, and that's been it. But those 9 have played really well. They understand their roles, when they're going in, when they're going out, what the situation is going to be for them. And it's really worked well. And this team's just had a terrific season. 16 wins already and 4-3 in the SEC.
Yeah, they're looking great. They're playing great. And Kevin, if you flip the game on late and you took the ranking away from Kentucky, you maybe would have thought Vanderbilt was the 9th ranked team. I was very impressed with what I saw down the stretch. And I'm curious, is that Vanderbilt, you mentioned the free throw shooting, but other than that, it felt like Vanderbilt took that game to Kentucky, and Kentucky did have some miscues, but it wasn't as if they just gave that game away. I was really impressed what I saw from the Commodores.
Yeah, Wade, I felt the same way, especially in the first half. Man, that last stretch of the first half, Vanderbilt played about as well as it has this season and really did take it to them and, made some big shots and built up a double-figure lead. But then I thought really the maturity of this team showed in weathering that storm in the second half and figuring out a way to make some big plays and make some big shots and figure out a way to win against a Kentucky team that's really good. gosh, I mean, they have some huge resume wins of their own when you think about who all they've beaten this season: Duke and Gonzaga, and they beat Louisville and they beat Florida. They have all just a whole variety of really good wins and went on the road and beat Mississippi State. They're having a terrific first season with Mark Pope, but I thought our guys played really maturely. Even Tyler Tanner, the guy's a true freshman who was out there, looks like a fifth-year senior and making plays that it took the win. But yeah, I felt like our guys look like they belonged in games against top 10 teams. We've seen it 3 games in a row. They were able to weather the storm from Tennessee the previous Saturday, rallied and got it back within single figures at Alabama after it looked like the Crimson Tide were going to pull away. So yeah, you're seeing this team grow and really grow together. You got a lot of experienced players, but they haven't played very much together going into this season. And so yeah, it's just been fun to watch this group sort of meld together and learn how to be a cohesive unit as the season's progressed, and we're seeing the payoff here in SEC play. And I see my logo's up, so I'm happy now. Thank you.
Yep, Mark got you taken care of.
Fulfilled there.
Absolutely. King Ram, Kevin Ingram of the Vanderbilt Radio Network, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Kevin, again, as you were considering Vanderbilt coming into this season, trying to find a path to the postseason for them and counting up wins, looking down the schedule, certainly the last 2 that they've gotten wouldn't necessarily have been counted as W's unless it was by the most optimistic Vanderbilt fan. You really have to kind of recalibrate how you look at this team all of a sudden, don't you?
Yeah, Mo, I think a lot of people probably are. And yeah, you looked at it going in, went 12-1 in the non-conference. You say, okay, can you get 8 or 9 wins in the SEC and put yourself on the bubble where you really have a chance? I mean, 9 wins is going to get it done. There's no question about that. But what does it look like if you're in that 7 to 8 range? Boy, this team has set itself up well. Still got 11 games to play in the SEC. You're sitting at 4. Can you get another handful of wins? I mean, it does recalibrate how you look at the season. I think it probably has for a lot of people. I mean, it feels like this team can hang with anybody in the league and have a shot. The one game that's going to be really interesting, I think, is when Auburn comes in here and plays. And those Auburn and Alabama games, by the way, are going to be ridiculous. Auburn can kind of play however you want to play, and they show they can win a low-scoring game against Tennessee, or they can put a lot of points on the board, as we've seen in some other games. I thought Alabama looked about as scary as anybody I've seen in college basketball. They not only are a good team, but they played really well the night we played down there. That had to be one of their better games of the season. But yeah, you look at this stretch of games remaining, and we went into that stretch with Tennessee, Alabama, and Kentucky. And you say, man, can you pick off a game or 2 right here? And you win 2 out of 3. Boy, you feel great about that. But a lot of basketball to be played. But 4-3 sitting at this point with 11 to go. Gosh, it's like every win is just so difficult to get and put on your ledger. But yeah, can you grab a few more and have a chance? I feel like this team has shown itself well and just continues to get better and better.
At this point, Kevin, have you kind of lost the any element of surprise? And Mark Byington is being talked about as an SEC Coach of the Year candidate for the job that he's done, and rightfully so. But I mean, there's no sneaking up on anybody at this point if you're Vanderbilt, right?
There's not, and certainly wins like these ones that we've seen the last 2 Saturdays have gotten a lot of national attention, and our team's ranked this week, moved up to number 24, got 35 votes last week, with just outside the top 25. But yeah, you're not going to sneak up on anybody if you have that ranking next to your name. And one good thing for Vanderbilt this week, you have a little bit of a breather. No midweek game. We'll be at Oklahoma on Saturday, then a quick turnaround to play at Florida on the following Tuesday. But you're going to have a little bit of time to recharge. And, you guys were talking about earlier, there've been a lot of illness going around. And, I think certainly on our campus is probably no exception, man. Just kind of get everybody well and feeling good and ready to play another difficult stretch of games. But I think more than anything, just recharge physically and mentally and get in some practice time. And I just did our coaches show a little while ago with Coach Byington. He said, yeah, it's going to be good to get in the gym and really have time to work on some things other than just preparing for the next game. And I think you get in those stretches in the season where you just don't have time to put in some new wrinkles or correct some mistakes or do things like that you've seen on the video. You just got to get ready for the next one. But this week, I feel like it's going to be a good chance for this team to get that done before you hop back in and you play a couple of tough road games coming up.
Yeah, that was my question, Kevin, is, for as impressive as these wins have been, Is Vanderbilt prepared, or what have you seen to maybe think they're prepared? Are they ready to take this show kind of on the road? Spirited effort versus Alabama for sure, but we've talked about it a number of times. There are no gimmies really at home or away, but especially on the road.
Yeah, it's really tough in the SEC on the road. And I thought it was interesting, that little stretch of games last week. I think it was last Wednesday where he had like road teams that trailed pretty much the whole game and pulled it out at the very end. And I'm like, man, you go on the road and win in this league, especially win that way. That's really tough. Vanderbilt does have an SEC road win. They opened up against LSU, and we went down to Baton Rouge and came out of there with a win. That was a nice way to start conference play. And at that point, you're sitting there and you're 13-1. But yeah, it's tough. We played at Missouri and really had a shot in that game, and played at Alabama, and you mentioned cut a big lead down to 8. But yeah, it's tough anywhere, whether it's home or road. And we'll see how this team performs away from Memorial Gym. But you're gonna have to score another road win or two at least if you're gonna kind of get to that magic number and give yourself a chance to get into March Madness. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've not been to Oklahoma in probably about 20 years. I went out there with Belmont one time when I did the games for the Bruins, and we played out in Norman, but I've not been there anytime recently. And Florida's always a fun place to go. It feels like everybody's right on top of you. So those will be fun road games coming up.
Kevin, have we, and I know Candace Story Lee hopes we have, but have we gotten to the point where Vanderbilt doesn't need to storm the court anymore?
Yeah, I would say our administration certainly hopes that is the case. I was joking the other day, Tim Thompson and I, that, the Tennessee game, Jelly Roll was here, and you had Dansby Swanson and the 2014 National Championship baseball team recognized. When the court storm happened, Tim and I were joking that, man, can we track those guys down out in the parking lot and see if we can get them to help us out with the what might be coming to the SEC?
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of agree with that. And Tim and I talked about that a little bit on Saturday, that you want to get to a point where everybody feels like you expect to win these games, and you don't storm the court every time. And I get it. They're college kids, and Kentucky and Tennessee are rivalry wins that are really fun and special and important. And you want to enjoy it as much as you can. But I do hope we can kind of move to a point to where we expect to win these games, and we're not going to do that every single time. But I don't know. There's that other part of me that says college kids are going to be college kids, and you think about what else happened on this campus just over the last few months. They went over Alabama, and the goalpost ends up in the Cumberland River. I guess the good news about the basketball court stormings is that the goal didn't end up in the river or anything like that. So
don't give them any ideas.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how you're going to get it out of the building. Those things are heavy. But yeah, to answer your original question, you do hope that as time goes on, and hopefully you win more of these big games, that everybody sort of sets that as the expectation.
Hey, that's all well and good, Kevin, but I'm just going to go and let you guys know. Auburn comes to town on February 11th. That court's getting stormed. I don't care what Vanderbilt can be ranked 10th at that point, but it feels like that one is going to be special as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a wild game. It will be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it was a great Vanderbilt football philosopher, Woody Woodenhofer, that said, "Have fun, expect to win." I think Candace might be embracing that one at this point. Kevin, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk to you for a second. Memorial Magic last weekend saw 2 wins over Tennessee by the home team. Yesterday's win for the women was at Alabama, but still huge, 66-64, and they had to come from behind to get that one done. Shay Ralph has really got them playing well right now.
She has. She's a fantastic coach, and man, they've done a great job with this program. You look at the turnaround there; it's been pretty impressive too. They got to the tournament last year, and not just got there; they won a game. And Michaela Blake's the freshman. If you haven't seen her play, she is amazing. She scored 33 points yesterday. She was the National Freshman of the Week last week. The Tamika Catchings National Freshman of the Week. Tamika was on the call for SEC Network yesterday, and Michaela might win the Freshman of the Week award again this week. She's been awesome. Camille Pierre has just been a double-double pretty much every game. You got so many just good pieces that work well together. That team's been really fun to watch. They've bounced back from adversity of their own. They had some tough losses against Kentucky and Ole Miss, and they really went to LSU and played about as well as anybody has on the road against the Tigers a couple weeks ago and came up short. But then that win over Tennessee felt like a real breakthrough for Coach Ralph and for that program. Coach Ralph has won some games against Tennessee during her day, certainly at UConn. But to win as a head coach and for our women's program to break through and win against the Lady Vols was really big and important. And to follow that up with a couple more wins, they blew out Arkansas on Thursday, went out and took care of business in that game. And then yesterday, Mo, as you mentioned, down by 9 in the third quarter, they went on a 10-0 run and then just made some big plays down the stretch, got some big stops, got some steals and hit some free throws and did a great job. But gosh, it just feels like the sky's the limit for our women's team. They're ranked this week also. They were 23rd. They moved into the rankings. So both our teams in the top 25.
It's nice to see some local flavor on those teams, and Ayanna Moore from Blackman.
What a great shooter, man. I love watching her shoot the ball. It feels like just a textbook jumper,
It really does. It's so pretty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is King Ram's logo there in the lower left. Kevin Ingram of the Vanderbilt Sports Network joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Always great when we can get him on. Kevin, we appreciate your time and enjoy some downtime, not having to pack and go anywhere, not having to be in Memorial here over the next few days. So catch your breath.
Yeah, I'll try to. I'll get my game prep done and start packing the suitcase for back-to-back road trips. But it's fun. You guys know me. I love announcing anything, but I certainly love announcing basketball. And it's been a really fun season for our teams.
Hey, look forward to getting you on again soon, man. We appreciate you. Have a good
anytime, fellas. Absolutely.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right. See y'all.
Hey, when we continue here on the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, we'll continue the basketball talk. Stay tuned when we come back.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Monday Mirror continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. It sounds like a broken record, I know, but man, the Southeastern Conference on the men's basketball side has been a meat grinder, and Tennessee was the latest victim, falling 53-51 at number one Auburn on Saturday night. Zakai Ziegler's three-pointer from the corner went begging on UT's final possession, and the number 6 Vols fall. As we talked to Blake Lovell last week, it was expected that Janai Broome was going to play. He did. And was pretty effective and impactful in his in his play on Saturday as Auburn stays unbeaten, 18-1, 6-0 in league play. Tennessee falling to 17-3, all three of those losses in league play as well. I don't know that it's necessarily a big loss. Again, as we've talked to Blake Lovell and other folks, I think the top 4 teams in this league are pretty well cemented unless they just tie an anvil to their ankles and go jump off of something. I think they're going to be okay. You don't want to lose a bunch of games, but when you're losing to the number 1 team in the country on their floor, I don't know that you can necessarily there shouldn't be any need to hide any sharp objects or anything like that, I don't think.
No, and that's the thing. That this goes for every team in the SEC. There will be nights where even at your best, it's not going to be good enough maybe to win the game. The trick is you got to avoid kind of what you alluded to a minute ago. You've got to avoid falling victim to multiple losses. And, sometimes the schedule is what the schedule is, and it's just tough. But you cannot afford to string together a couple of losses in a row, and you certainly can't afford to get too beat up or too bent out of shape with one loss, because that's how that happens. And, Tennessee's right there in a loaded pack in the middle of the field in the SEC. But if you don't kind of get your bearings, dust yourself off a little bit, that's when things can really start getting tricky. You can't put too much stock in any one game on any given night, I don't think, in this league this year.
I said Janai Broome was impactful. 7 of 19 from the floor, so a little rusty, but finished with 16 points, 13 boards. You'll take that in the first game back from an ankle injury. So he was pretty much Auburn's anchor Saturday night in that ball game and did about what you've expected out of him. I mean, it feels like he is the odds-on favorite at this point for SEC Player of the Year, does it not?
Yeah, gotta be. And, I was talking with some friends over the weekend. He probably would be a little bit closer, but keep your eyes on him for that Wooden Award too. Cooper Flagg's built up some distance, but I think he built up the distance, talking betting odds at least. He's built up the distance in the games that Broome has been out. Now that Broome is back, that was a massive game for his candidacy. What more could you want? You got everything that you wanted from him and then some in 33 minutes, quote, off the bench. But you got it versus the number 6 team in the country. That is about as good as you can ask for. But yeah, it feels like it's his, unless something goes off the rails, to win in the SEC for sure. And keep your eyes on him in terms of a Nation Award as the season rolls along here.
Yeah. Again, SEC going to SEC. Just ask Texas A&M. They went to Austin as the number 13 team in the country over the weekend and fell to the Longhorns 70-69. Nobody escapes the wrath of this league, it doesn't feel like. We talked about Vanderbilt's win over Kentucky already. Georgia felt like they were rolling a couple of weeks ago. They go to Gainesville and get blasted by 30. A top 25 matchup. Missouri wins at home against Ole Miss. It's just kind of carnage all over the place, and you never know which way it's going to go, which is making this not just, as Blake Lovell said, the best season in Southeastern Conference history, but probably the most exciting.
Absolutely. Every night is entertaining. And if you're really a fan of any team, you kind of want to tune in to see what's going on. And this is even the Big Ten a couple years ago, before Purdue kind of really wrestled, full control away from the rest of the league. Prior to that, this is how this was. Every single night, you have to be at your absolute best because the whole league is loaded top to bottom. And this year's SEC is leaps and bounds better in terms of a lot of metrics there than even the most competitive Big Ten seasons a couple years ago. So you have to be at your absolute best. And the thing is, like I said, you cannot afford to let multiple losses kind of start stacking up. That's how you get in trouble. Tennessee, if you go to bracketmatrix.com, they are smack dab locked in across the board as the top 2 seed. But if you start stringing a couple wins together, obviously you're right back in the discussion for that one. If you start stringing a couple losses together, now you're kind of in that murky territory, and that's where you don't want to be. I didn't get to watch a ton till the very end of the game, but I did find it fascinating. I got a couple texts that were asking about the game and the scores. And I forgot that they played halves in men's college basketball because at one point when I glanced, it was 16-16. And I said, oh, this must be the end of the first quarter, right? And they said, no, there's 4 minutes left in the half. I mean, it was a rock fight of rock fights.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. Auburn can put up 100, but it was cool to see them get a win in the 50s as well. Tennessee is in the same boat. They can win a high-scoring game. We certainly know how good their defense can be and is under Rick Barnes. So it's any given night you're going to have to be prepared to face and win a couple different types of game. And we saw that rock fight go down on Saturday. So you just can't hang your head too much because that's when they start creeping up on you.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that about halves in men's college basketball, because I think at this point they are the only ones that play under that format. I think everybody else plays quarters. I mean, high school plays 4 8-minute quarters. The NBA plays 4 12-minute quarters. The women play 4 10-minute quarters. I wonder when or if the men will make the change, or why it is that they're hanging on to the 2 20-minute halves as they are. I don't know what the advantage or the disadvantage is in either, but you know, when you're the only ones doing something a certain way, I would think you got to wonder, why are we doing it this way?
Well, it was interesting. You know, competition committee a couple of years ago floated the idea. They didn't call it quarters, but they basically did. They said, we're going to reset the fouls at the 10-minute mark of each half. And I'm like, well, what's the difference in that? But yeah, I looked at the score and I said, what, are you kidding me? This has got to be, I forgot. Oh yeah, this is the end of a half that there was only 16 points for each team. It was a real slobber knocker, tough, hard-nosed, physical game, a lot of emotion, a lot of old UT highlights with Bruce Pearl. Saw Tyler Smith in the background, Wayne Chisholm, some of those former Vol greats.
Did Wayne have his headband on?
They had him in the headband with the pick. They had Tyler with his on in the pick. I mean, they were hyping it up. Pearl's giving chest bumps after the game. I mean, it was everything you kind of want and then some for a regular season game. And it kind of, even though it's the only regular season meeting, kind of almost maybe feels like this is not the last time we'll see Tennessee and Auburn locking horns at some point this year.
That'll be interesting. You know who I feel sorry for right now? South
Morehead
Carolina.
State? Oh, I thought you were going to say Morehead State for losing Johnny Broom. I feel bad for those guys.
Can you imagine him in the Ohio Valley Conference?
He tore it up, and then the bag man came calling Mo.
It's funny how that works. South Carolina is 0-7 after losing to to Mississippi State over the weekend. Is that who got them? Yeah. 65-60. Mississippi State comes into Columbia, South Carolina, and gets the Gamecocks. The Gamecocks are now 0-7, the only winless team in the conference. Somebody's got to be last, right?
Somebody's got to be last, and somebody might be winless, just like we saw last year. I mean, you have to be on your P's and Q's every night. They lost to Florida in overtime a couple nights ago. We talked about how heartbreaking that one was, and that's just how it is. The league shows no mercy. I mean, and LSU and Arkansas sitting there with just one win ain't exactly lighting the world on fire. So you feel bad for them, but I mean, like you said, somebody's got to finish last. And this league is so competitive. What really stinks is you kind of are approaching the territory of, hanging your heads and throwing in the towel. They're quickly down to 500 at 10-10 on the season. So you got to try and find a way to rally. They have a, quote, winnable game for sure when they travel to Georgia here in tomorrow night, rather.
Yeah. As you said, it's a league that eats its young, and
it already was that way, and then you had Texas and Oklahoma in the mix. I mean, it is just competitive on a leaps and bounds level we've never seen. I mean, it's ridiculous. Kentucky's sitting there at 3-3, and they're a top 10 team.
Tells you all you need to know right there. Shifting gears away from the Southeastern Conference, we said that MTSU's loss at Western Kentucky last weekend on the women's side would probably serve as a wake-up call. Well, they took care of business against Louisiana Tech on Saturday after their win over Sam Houston in midweek. So they have won their last two in Conference USA. I mean, it's not 33, but you got to start somewhere. So
yeah, got to run it back up, and I'm not going to give away trade secrets, but they might have had a giant dartboard in the basketball offices I was broadcasting from.
That's
Friday.
right.
I mean,
You were there. Yeah.
They had everybody tuned in and in the glass house trying to rally the troops on Thursday. Got a nice win Saturday. Yeah, it's back to business as usual for these ladies. That was massive.
Did you get any insider info while you were over there?
Win and win by a lot was the refrain. I felt like by osmosis I received from everybody as they were coming in and out.
Mission accomplished, 61-43. Not so much for the men down in Ruston again, where getting there was half the battle. After they went out to Sam Houston, they traveled down to Ruston and dropped a tough one. But again, La Tech had some expectations coming into this season and may or may not have necessarily met them. La Tech 15-6 after that 75-69 win over MTSU. Sounds like it was a heck of a ball game. Middle just couldn't get over the hump.
Couldn't get it done. Hey, real quick, I got to give a quick shout out to women's basketball. They got the 2 wins, and she was in the crowd for one. But my girl Colby Phillips, she's 8, I believe. Chris P, don't hold that against me. Apologies for not nailing that. But she was the one of the ball girls. She was one of the sweepers on Saturday. So they're 2-0 with her in the building in this win streak. So getting a little restore of order for the ladies. And as far as the men goes, kind of a SEC light type feel. This is a loaded Conference USA team, and MTSU is right there in the pecking order. But you just got to be able to scratch out and savor every road win. Couldn't get it done. They were leading that game for a decent stretch there, but couldn't pull it off on the road versus La Tech.
You got to feel like Colby's going to be back in the house when the Lady Raiders come back on Thursday the 6th against Jack State at that rate.
They're based Grayson and Chris Phillips, two my dear friends. They got 2 daughters, and she's the one that's getting them going. And yeah, you need to work out some sort of sponsorship. You got to make sure she's there because they're undefeated when she's in the building thus far.
I think she's going to have to clear off her schedule that week. Thursday against Jacksonville State, and then Saturday against Kennesaw, and then the following Saturday Western comes to town. She's got to be there for that one. So
that's must visit right there.
Colby, get your homework done. So. Yeah. We talked about LSU and South Carolina getting delayed from Thursday to Friday. It didn't change much of anything, I don't think. That game really delivered. I was almost late going where I needed to go Friday evening trying to watch that one.
Heck of a game. I mean, we have 2 top teams, and I kind of love what we saw. I didn't get to watch any of the game, but I do love what we saw in the sense that it feels like LSU has, whether it's by choice or not, they've got no choice but to respect South Carolina. Maybe any other team, they're not going to show that type of class, that type of respect. But, man, they even had to tip their cap. A lot of glowing comments after the game. And, I mean, it feels like these teams are on a different plane, certainly than everybody else in the league, and therefore it kind of almost was treated, and rightfully so, it kind of almost felt like a NCAA tournament game rather than a Friday afternoon SEC women's basketball game.
And it's hard for 2 teams in this league to kind of get on a different plane from everybody else, but you're right. It really does feel like they are kind of separating themselves from the rest of a really good women's basketball league. I mean, you've got South Carolina at 2, LSU at 5. I think they dropped in this week's poll, but Texas was 7th and Kentucky was 11th. You got 4 teams in the top 11 basically, and at least 3 more ranked, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. So, but yeah, to your point, LSU and South Carolina, it almost feels like it's them and everybody else in this league.
It really, and if you're LSU, kind of the same deal with Tennessee. You can't in the men's. You can't afford to let another loss potentially slip on your radar if at all possible. Because yeah, you may not have knocked off South Carolina, but what you can do is make sure you try and finish number 2 so you don't see those ladies again until the championship. You want to try and delay that game as long as possible. And they have dreams and aspirations, obviously, of a potential 1, maybe a 2, or dare I say a 3 seed. This is a team, you can't let that one get too far behind you. And I think LSU is still kind of a, like I said, super upper echelon type unit this year. So I feel like they'll be in pretty good shape.
Absolutely. That wraps up hour number 1 of the Monday Mirror here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back for hour number 2, we'll talk a little football. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilai Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Hour number 2 of the Monday Mirror here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, starts right now. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. Which of the conference championship games were you more surprised by, Wade?
The easy answer has got to be the NFC, right? Washington had come in on such a heater, and Philadelphia had kind of been reeling a little bit, winning for sure, but certainly not winning big. Jalen Hurts, a little bit of an injury question, and it felt like we got exactly what we were expecting in the AFC Championship game. A close game between two teams that are very familiar with one another. So I got to say I'm a little more surprised by what we saw in the first contest.
I think I saw that the 55 points that the Eagles scored yesterday in that 55-23 win was the most points scored in a conference championship game. And, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, bad day to be an unders better because that number got lit up in flames. It was a lot of – the scoreboard was popping, as you might say.
Yeah, to say the least. And – the Giants further ruining not bringing Saquon back, I guess.
Yeah, things go from bad to worse. The Giants catching strays here, and rightfully so, because, man, you see Barkley do what Barkley does. And coming into that game, Man, it like I said, it felt like Washington had a lot of momentum, and it felt like the Eagles were just a little wobbly. But they absolutely torched Washington. And we saw the same script that Washington had used to defeat Detroit the week prior. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here, and it sounds simple and it sounds easy and enough to say. But when you turn the football over, you more than likely going to lose the game, and Washington just did not do themselves any favors. They played as hard as they could, and they maybe battled as well as they should have. But, man, when you turn the ball over and put it on the ground, you really put yourself in a hole, and it was too much for those guys to dig out of.
I saw a graphic at one point. Washington had run 18 plays. Philadelphia had run 1, and Philadelphia led 7-3 because the one play that Philadelphia had run was a Saquon Barkley 60-yarder for a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, it was eerily similar to what we just saw last Monday in the national championship game. Washington comes down on a perfect first drive, almost perfect, I should say. They convert 2, maybe 3 fourth downs, and then I'm not going to say you don't necessarily try and kick the field goal there. There's some debate on whether or not the numbers bear that out, but you only get 3. After you drive all the way down the field, you've converted already a couple times on fourth down. You only come away with 3, but you get 3. And then in the blink of an eye, the Eagles had popped 7 on you. And it felt eerily similar to Notre Dame and Ohio State in the sense that, man, that was way easier on one side of the ball than it was on the other.
Right. And it didn't need to be that easy as hard as we worked to get on the scoreboard and then them just poof, So, yeah, tough night for Washington, unfortunately, just from the turnover standpoint. I don't know. Does this diminish your thoughts of Jaden Daniels at this point? Or I felt like they and he were kind of playing with house money anyway, just getting this far in his rookie season as a starting quarterback. But what do you take away as far as the Commanders and Jaden Daniels go?
I mean, I don't see any way that their stock is still not going up. I know this is a very delicate and finicky league, and you have to savor these moments. Once you get to this moment, you have to win this game because you're not sure if you'll ever get back. And we thought for sure for all the world that Houston might be a team that was destined to get the AFC Championship after the trajectory we saw them last year, and that didn't pan out. So you have to savor the moments. Daniels did fine. Had an interception, but, I mean, things were getting crazy. Still an outstanding rookie season, the likes of which we may never, ever see again. So if you're a Commanders fan, on one hand, you got to be extremely optimistic. You got to be extremely happy. On the other hand, you do got to be disappointed. Anytime you get to a championship, I don't care if you're the biggest underdog in the world, it stings really, really bad when you fall like that. And it made matters worse. I wasn't familiar, I must admit, with Daron Payne, but he was the stud defensive tackle. And when he gets ruled out on Saturday, little did we know how costly that could have been because Barkley only goes for 118. It felt like he could have gone for about 250. They only even revved him up 15 times yesterday. So, I mean, Washington's going to retool. You think you got some magic there with Daniels. Dan Quinn seems to have everybody rolling, but it's never a guarantee. And that one does hurt, even though you feel like you might get back sooner than later.
Barkley goes for 118, like you said, on 15 touches, 3 touchdowns, but the rookie out of Clemson, Will Shipley, 4 carries for 77 yards out of that same spot once they put Barkley in the garage. So to your point, there might have been more on the table there for Barkley, but they got what they needed, and they are headed to New Orleans to take on
and a good game too for real quick, and a good game for our guy Reed Blankenship.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you.
Picked up a fumble early in the game, battling well. He's been playing well. Man, the Eagles just showed a lot of grit too. I don't want to diminish what they did because Daniels had come into this game, and I forget the exact stat, but anytime he had thrown for over 170 yards, the Eagles had really struggled in the postseason. Such an odd number. But Daniels throws for 245, very efficient, getting rid of the ball twos, and on a night where Washington got to him, and forced him to be uncomfortable a little bit at times. But Daniels, as much pressure and he as the offense put on him, Hurts was right there on the other end for Philadelphia to get things done. So I do want to give them credit as well for the win.
Yeah. Obviously a big win for the Eagles. Again, headed to New Orleans, taking on the evil empire in a lot of folks' eyes, the Kansas City Chiefs, who got a field goal from Harrison Butker inside the final, 30 seconds? Less than that to win it 32-29. Tough for Buffalo because they had come down and tied the game up, but left some time on the clock, and Mahomes did what Mahomes does. Got them back down in field goal range and converted, and they are headed to their third straight. And
he kicked one. It was about 3.5 minutes still left because
was it that long?
Yeah, because Buffalo still had a shot, and I'm sitting there watching the game when Buffalo ties it up. We'll talk more about this too. This was you just got to shake your fist at the sky type moment if you're Buffalo, because Kansas City finds a way to do it yet again. This was a football dream situation. This was one of the great games yet again that these two teams have produced in a rivalry that has produced such great magic over the years in the postseason. Butker gets the late field goal, and you're thinking, all right, one last chance. And on fourth down, you got to give credit to Spags and that defense. We knew a blitz was coming. He comes hot off the corner.
Right.
Allen throws it up. Kind of a little bit of a knuckler, but he at least gave Kincaid a shot at it, and Kincaid doesn't come up with it. And then the Chiefs, beautiful execution down the stretch with their play calling, getting a couple first downs that they need to salt the game away, including, they threw a ball out to Perine, who had not touched it the entire game. And Samaje Perine breaks a tackle to get the first down, and Mahomes gets the kneel downs. And yeah, like you said, the evil empire rolls right back into the Super Bowl 32-29.
There are those that were pointing out on the socials that one of the keys for the Chiefs in that win was Xavier Worthy, who the Chiefs got after trading for a pick in the first round with the Buffalo Bills. Worthy six catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. And we talked about this coming out of the draft. I mean, for a team that you feel like had everything to start with, you trade with them, you trade them the pick that they use on the fastest guy in the draft. What are you thinking if you're Buffalo? And certainly got to revisit that now.
Yeah, man, not only do you give the Chiefs a little ammunition, but yeah, certainly having him there at your disposal would have been clutch. And felt like we've been seeing this coming. We go all the way back to opening night versus the Ravens, and Worthy gets that touch and goes in on the reverse for the touchdown. Everybody says, ooh, here we go. They gave him everything that they wanted, he being Mahomes. And then Worthy kind of took a back seat for a large chunk of the season, but right when they need him most, Mahomes is completing passes to guys that, like I said, Perine has that catch at the end for 17, but we're talking about a receiving core that is not the greatest, especially after Rice goes down. Total disappearing act in the postseason for DeAndre Hopkins, but the Chiefs will their way to victory, and it's because Worthy, it feels like these gadget plays are designed perfectly for him in the postseason, and he does a great job getting them in position. Had a couple nice rushes and a couple nice receptions to be just enough of a, X factor for Mahomes and the guys to win and get into the Super Bowl.
Juju Smith-Schuster with a couple of big catches yesterday as well. I mean, kind of got him off the milk carton a little bit. Wasn't expecting that. But yeah, Mahomes making something out of nothing. 7 years in the league, he has made 5 Super Bowl appearances, this will be his 5th, and he's lost twice in the AFC Championship game. And surely there's not another quarterback that has had that kind of performance over his first 7 years in the league.
It's been unreal. And he has done it yet again. And saw a great quote from some of his coaching staff talking about the night before these playoff games. Quote, Mahomes just goes to a dark place. And even his own teammates kind of sense it. And it feels Brady-esque in the sense that he's just tapping in to whatever he's tapping into. And again, he hasn't thrown the ball at the Mahomes level that maybe, you would anticipate. he was not in the MVP discussion for a reason this season. He had a subpar season by his standards in terms of throwing the football for all those reasons I mentioned, those receivers. But he's able to do it in different ways. He's able to extend plays. He's able to get crafty. We saw him run the ball 11 times yesterday, and he had 2 touchdowns. He's kind of tapping into that old Brady-esque mode where, hey, if you're going to sit back and let me throw, I will pick you apart and I will hum you up to the tune of about 400 yards. But on days when you are potentially going to shut that down, I'm going to find other ways to beat you. And he had just enough goods to deliver heartbreak to the Bills yet again.
Needs to work on his spike, though.
That will go down as one of the worst.
Gotta be. Saw a tweet last night, said a lot of gold jacket AFC quarterbacks are going to leave the game with no rings, and you know, Josh, Lamar, Joe Burrow. I mean, you've got some really good quarterbacks in that league that have got to figure a way to get by that guy to give themselves a chance at winning a Super Bowl. And yeah, good luck. So.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're the Bills, this has got to be – I was listening to a podcast on the way down this morning. It's got to be demoralizing more than anything, because if you're Josh Allen and you're the Bills, you're so close. You're knocking on the doorstep, whether it's an overtime loss before the rules had to be changed to accommodate the situation. But Allen, 22 of 34 for 2 touchdowns yesterday. Allen was great. That's the part that's demoralizing, Mo. Your quarterback was great, and you still don't find a way to beat these guys. It's almost just like I said, you're punching at the air, you're coming up, you're swinging, and you're missing. And that's how close the margin is in this league. You have to be absolutely perfect to beat these guys, especially on the road. And after knocking them off in the regular season, you come up just shy. An epic game that lived up to the billing. But, man, if you're Buffalo, you got to be really, really disappointed right now.
The Titans announced some staff changes / additions earlier today. Luke Stocker has been promoted to tight ends coach. Promoted, so I guess he had been on the staff. He was an intern during the 2023 offseason and was named assistant tight ends coach coming into this past season. So Luke Stocker is now the tight ends coach. John Fassel has been announced officially as the new special teams coach, replacing Colt Anderson. Tony Oden has been named passing game coordinator and cornerbacks coach. It's an interesting combination. And former Tennessee Oiler, former Titans assistant Renee Stewart is back with the team. Stewart had been a special teams assistant with Fassel down in Dallas, and he returns. He had been in the area as a coach at Battleground Academy and as head coach out at Whites Creek before joining the Vanderbilt program for a few years, but had left the area and is now obviously back. So also former Tennessee State linebacker Anthony Levine, who served as a special teams assistant this past year, his contract has expired and he won't be brought back. So wishing Anthony the best of luck. But yeah, the Titans are trying to get reset, and obviously there's a need. So
no doubt. And you know, if you're Colt Anderson, I just ran into somebody right when I got into Pulaski. We were talking about this. For Colt Anderson, you kind of expected this, obviously, especially when the Titans go out and hire Fassel, who a lot of folks think is one of the great special teams coaches and maybe one of the good up-and-coming coaches in this league. Mm-hmm. But as the special teams, in a weird way, they were improved dramatically as the season goes along. But as me and my friend were talking, the reason they were improved is because they were so bad to start the year. And they were historically bad to start the year. So as much of an improvement as it was too little too late. And especially when you see Fassel come in, you kind of see the writing on the wall for Colt Anderson, who departs.
Yeah, everybody across the league would tell you that that's an upgrade there. So we'll see how that goes. Let's take a break here on the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today. When we return, we'll be joined by Willie G. Ramirez out of Vegas talking a little women's basketball. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back to the Monday Mirror here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely, and we are especially pleased to have Willie G. Ramirez with us to talk a little women's basketball, because reached out to Willie about a week and a half ago, and he was a little bit under the weather. So really excited that he is feeling up to visiting with us. Willie, how are you doing, man?
Doing good. Appreciate you guys having me on. And yeah, it looks like I recovered just in the nick of time with some big breaking news happening in the WNBA.
Some huge breaking news in the WNBA. Free agency starts tomorrow, right?
Free agency is underway, and they can begin negotiating or matching, I believe. I thought it was February 1st. But I think you're right. I think all these unrestricteds and, when they start looking at the matching offers and negotiating, it's going to be interesting to see, because I think one of the biggest names has already fallen yesterday in a sign and trade deal. And then we still have a host of others. I think some are going to stay put, but I think we're going to see Satu Sabli be the next big domino to fall.
Okay. Well, it feels like the first big domino to fall was Kelsey Plum, who is leaving the Aces apparently and going to the Sparks. Jewel Lloyd coming from the Storm to the Aces. So a lot of moving parts in this one, but the bottom line is Kelsey Plum is to the Sparks. And if you're the Sparks, you got to really like that with her coming in and playing with Rakea Jackson and Cam Brink, a couple of rookies. Obviously, Brink coming off the knee injury, but they kind of feel good about where they are with those two healthy, I would think, and then bringing her in. And, is it kind of addition for the Sparks by subtraction from the Aces? I mean, how did this come down?
Well, I happened to retweet something earlier today from October that I pointed out, I believe it was October 6th, in that the core four of Jackie Young, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and Chelsea Gray, they had all had extending contracts before or mid-season the last time they had their contracts extended, including Kelsey Plum the previous time. Last October, knowing she was going to be an unrestricted free agent, she had not been extended, or she had turned it down, and she already knew she wanted out. The writing was on the wall. Anyone that would listen to me, that I continue to tell local beat writers, national beat writers, Kelsey Plum has played her last game with the Las Vegas Aces. They did not want to hear it. There's no way that she's going to leave. There's no way they're going to let her leave. She's built something here, so on and so forth. Why would she want to leave Asia Wilson? I told them it's time for Kelsey Plum to go out on her own, right? She has built something here, but I feel as if Kelsey Plum was ready to sort of have her own team, be the face of a franchise, or go and show what she can do without playing in the shadow of Asia Wilson. Now, that being said, I don't think that any of them play in the shadow, especially under Becky Hammon. But nevertheless, it's Asia Wilson's team. Everybody knows that. Even as great as Chelsea Gray is, even as great as Jackie Young is, Asia Wilson's team. So I feel as if she wanted to go. I personally had been predicting Golden State or Seattle. She's a California gal. She's very close with Natalie Nakasi, the assistant coach that they brought from Las Vegas, that they took from Las Vegas, I should say. And I just thought that, if you ever watch Kelsey Plum's warm-up routine, she takes 30 minutes, and Natalie's the only one that would do it with her. So I thought for sure it was a perfect fit. She could be the face of that franchise, help build it, and she's back in her home state. The other option, once it came out that Jewel Lloyd had requested a trade, I felt as if that's an even swap, okay? And I thought it might be a decent fit for Seattle, especially since Kelsey just had her jersey retired by the University of Washington. Alaska Airlines Arena went crazy for her in Seattle, thought that she'd have a built-in fan base there. You got Nneka Ogwumike, the president of the WNBPA. Kelsey's the vice president. You got Skylar Diggins-Smith. You got young Nika Mule. Noelle Quinn is somewhat of a player's coach. I know that there's been some controversy. She was under investigation for bullying, but nevertheless, thought it was a good fit. I did not see the Sparks coming until Annie Costabile from Chicago reported it a few days ago. I know yesterday everyone was blowing up X or Twitter that it was the NBA ESPN crew, which it was not. The day before, Annie had broke that story and sent all of us chasing it. So without her, we wouldn't have been chasing the story in order for people to break. That being said, I think everybody makes out well. I think that the Aces get Jewel Lloyd, and she has great chemistry with Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young. They've all been in the USA basketball program together, so they work well together. I think Kelsey, the reunion between Kelsey Plum and De'Erica Hamby works great, and now they can both mold and help Cam Brink and Rakea Jackson. You got Ray Burrell there as well. I think it's a nice fit. Eli Horowitz does a great job, the general manager. With Seattle, they get the number 2 pick. Now, everybody came after me yesterday because, as you know, a journalist, you're electronic journalist, I'm a writing journalist. See, people have to read the vernacular and how I word things. And I put Paige Beckers may not want to go to Dallas, but I'm sure she'd like to go to Seattle. Why? Nika Mule is there. They called each other twin. They do TikTok videos. Hey, twin, that's my twin. Came to see my twin. Paige would go see Nika during her rookie year. They're best of friends. So if Seattle could find a way to use the number 2 pick on her, because who knows if she wants to go to Dallas. There have been plenty of reports out there she does not want to go to the Dallas Wings. So I think everybody made out. Seattle's going to get a decent pick. They still got talent there. They just have to find a way to replace Drew Lloyd. I think everybody made out great, and it slowly just went down with LA getting involved.
Willie, when this trade comes down, obviously it's one that kind of reverberates even to the casual WNBA fans, even to the casual basketball fans, I feel like. But my question is, we've seen this trend kind of in the NBA for the last several seasons, this league, as it were. Are we kind of entering this league territory? Is this maybe the sign of a huge offseason in your mind, or kind of break down the rest of the offseason after this kind of kickstarts us here in your estimation?
I think it's definitely one of the biggest offseason that we've all seen in a long time, because of the number of names. Whether or not they move on, like Alyssa Thomas, DeWanna Bonner, like I don't know if they're going to leave Connecticut. I think that they're sort of cemented in there, and I think they'll go back. But I think with the number of names that are entering free agency, it makes it a very big offseason. And I think with the growth of the league and what we've seen the last 2 years, 3 years, I should say, Aces back-to-back championship, New York Liberty winning it last year, the movement of Courtney Vandersloot, Brianna Stewart to go play with Sabrina Ionescu, movement of Kalia Copper and Natasha Cloud down to Phoenix and turning that into a contender. I think those moves, and NECA and Skylar going to Seattle, they sort of have prepped us for a year like this. So I don't think that we are done by any means. It's a blockbuster trade because of the 2 names involved, Drew Lloyd and Kelsey Plum. But we are set up for a major, major negotiating time frame coming up here in a little bit, with the moving parts in different cities and where people are going. I still want to know where Kennedy Carter's going, right? They did not core her. They did not offer her. I want to know what she's going to do after last year's season with Chicago. Where's she going to end up? I want to know what Atlanta's going to do with the players and the components they have. Are they going to be active in trying to trade? Who are they going to draft? I want to know what New York's going to do. I just did a big feature on Courtney Vandersloot. She's a free agent, and she's at Unrivaled, and she said, I'm testing the free agent market. Well, her and her wife, Allie Quigley, still own a home in Chicago. She won a title there. She could easily go right back to Chicago, pick up where Kennedy Carter left off. She's also from Seattle. She's from Kent, Washington. Could she go home and replace Jewel Lloyd? Sort of mentor Nika Mule. There's a lot of big names, aside from Kelsey Plum, Jewel Lloyd, who are requesting trades or want, test the free agent market. So, yeah, it's. I think it's one of the, if not the biggest. It's probably going to be the biggest free agent offseason that we've seen since the WNBA has really exploded in the last 4 or 5 years.
And I was going to ask you, Willie, is it bigger because there's more going on, or is it bigger because there's more attention being paid to it?
I think it's a combination of both. I think because there's a lot going on with Unrivaled, and then next week Athletes Unlimited starts in your guys' neck of the woods, and then just the popularity of it all. People want to know who's coming in, to play with Caitlin Clark. Are they going to team her up with somebody? So Kelsey Mitchell, she's supposed to be a UFA. So I think you look at the popularity and the growth, and you combine that with everything that else that's going on around it, and the spot. Think about it. We have not really had a spotlight on women's basketball in January and February outside of Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, right? Camila Cardoso, the South Carolinas, the LSUs, the Iowas. Now people are watching Unrivaled. People are going to be watching Athletes Unlimited. May not be in droves like the WNBA, millions of viewers. May not be because they want to see the Asias, the Caitlin Clarks, the Brianna Stewarts, but there's a dialed-in women's basketball audience that is interested in watching these games. I've seen people bashing the first ratings report that came out for Unrivaled. Well, that's kind of unfair because nobody's asking the non-casual fan it's the dialed in target audience that already loves women's basketball. So yes, with what's going on outside of the WNBA is drawing more eyes and piquing interest, especially because of how many free agents are playing at Unrivaled.
Willie G. Ramirez. You can find his stuff at wgramirez.com. Covers a lot of women's basketball and other stuff in and around Las Vegas. So be sure to check him out. Probably got some Raiders stuff in there too. But Willie, kind of bring us up to speed on Unrivaled, because we've not been able to spend as much time on it as I'd like. And the last couple of Friday nights I've been otherwise tied up. But it's 3-on-3 full court, right?
It is. It's an adjusted court. It's the same width. It's a little bit shorter. So it is. It is a modified basketball court.
Okay.
The dynamics of it. It's a very intimate setting with a much smaller crowd. What you will see is it reminds me of how Athletes Unlimited set up their arena when they first came to Las Vegas, with the backdrop where the TV cameras is focusing into the court, and you see the big neon background with the logo of the league. And, you know, at the time when they first brought Athletes Unlimited, it was right after COVID. So there was mask optional, but a lot of people still wearing them. They had built-in noise. They don't really need that anymore. And Athletes Unlimited has sort of built its own following. Vegas 1 year, Dallas 2 years. Now they're going to be in Nashville. So with Unrivaled, it's the same setting in terms of where you see the graphics in the back or drop. You have your broadcast teams and your sideline reporter. Like I said, modified court, but the 3-on-3 action I think people like because there's a lot more space, so you're seeing a little bit more of a faster pace, and they're not really holding back. I've seen, Alyssa Thomas went down with an injury last week, and it was a little scary. A lot of people reaching out, especially being that she's a free agent and what was going to happen. We get injury updates. We get they do a fantastic job. Tish Carmona is with the PR, leading the PR team. They're doing a phenomenal job. It feels like we're right in the middle of the WNBA season, been on Zoom sessions. So right now, the Laces and the Lunar Owls are the only undefeated teams. They're both 3-0. The Vinyl are at 2-1. The Rose 1-2. Phantom 1-3. And the Mist, the only team that hasn't won a game, 0-4. We get injury reports. We get injury updates. A couple of players that aren't active, and they do have a list of reserves in case somebody goes down that they could add to the 36-woman roster. So right now, Nalissa Smith, Dejanay Carrington's partner, she has joined the league with a couple of names out. So I believe there's a couple of games tonight.
Okay, might have to check that out. Certainly need to. Willie, talk to us about AU coming to Nashville. I mean, we're pretty excited about it. They've got a media day next Monday we're going to try to get to, and they start play, I believe, on Wednesday night down at Municipal Auditorium. And I'm fascinated by the player run portion of it, where the top points producing players get to be captains and draft each week and that kind of thing. It just really seems like a lot to kind of gravitate to and try to kind of get your arms around.
Yeah, so this year they're going to do it a little bit different. Week 1, it's built in for, I think they're designated, but they're sort of veterans of AU that are going to be the captains.
Okay.
Weeks 2 and 3 will be captains of the leaders of that particular week. So if you're one of the top 4 leaders from week 1, you'll be a captain in week 2. If you're one of the 4 leaders for week 2 alone, you'll be a captain in week 3. And then week 4, it's the overall season top 4. So a little bit different this year, where in years past it was the entire leaderboard, the top 4. What happened was you had a lot of them going for that title, and people like Odyssey Sims, veteran, Odyssey Sims, Alicia Gray, since she joined, they always ended up being captains. And they started little two-woman cliques, if you will. I remember the first year here, Dejanay Carrington and Natasha Cloud were always together. Courtney Williams and Isabel Harrison, always together. Lexi Brown and Taj Cole, always together. So they're switching it up a little bit, but it's a fun league. Like you said, they draft every single week, so you never know whose team you're going to be on from week to week. There's they play for a cause as well. So they're not only playing for the cash-in bonus at the end of the year as the overall champion, but you are also playing for a cause where a portion of the proceeds and money goes toward whatever cause you're playing for. Some are playing for something that's affected their family. Some it's just that it's touched their heart. So it's a fun league. I will be doing feature stories. My first feature for Athletes Unlimited is going to be on Alicia Clark, the Las Vegas Ace, 6th Player of the Year, multi-WNBA champ. She's won a couple of championships here, Seattle. So looking forward to catching up with her on Zoom. And, of course, asking her on the side, getting her take on yesterday's Blockbuster news. And then every Monday, once the draft is done, I'll be writing sort of an in-depth analysis as to how the draft will affect the upcoming week. So I'll be doing some getting back to doing some work. The first year they were here, I did features every week, and I did their game recaps. And then since they moved out of Vegas, I've been doing feature stories more than anything. So that's what we're looking at. And it's full court, 5-on-5, and a lot of fun.
Yeah. Alicia, friend of the show, former Belmont and MTSU standout, played her high school ball in Mount Juliet, so we're real familiar with her. There's definitely going to be a Tennessee flavor to AU with former Hillsborough High School standouts Isabel and Dory Harrison also in the league, and ex-Lady Vol Jordan Horston. So we're looking forward to this, man. It's going to be really exciting, I think, to have professional women's basketball right here in our backyard, like you said, and excited about it, and excited that you're going to be involved with some of the coverage of it. So again, if you are interested in keeping up with AU, to WGRamirez.com and follow this guy on Twitter at Willie G. Ramirez. Willie, what else do we need to know?
Well, I just would prepare yourself and get ready for, like I said, just a hectic couple of weeks with free agency in the WNBA. It's going to be a fun ride. I want to know where, like I said, most of all, where Satu Sabli is going to end up. She's already told us while she's at Unrivaled that she wants out of Dallas. She's played her last game. She said it. They're working diligently to trade her and get some value. She's obviously worth it. It would not surprise me if she ends up in New York to rejoin forces with Sabrina Ionescu. The two played in Oregon. They were on that 2020 team that won the Pac-12 championship here in Las Vegas, but didn't get a chance to play for the national championship because of COVID. And everybody said that probably they were going to win. They would have went undefeated. And they were, people were saying that was going to go down as one of the greatest women's basketball teams in college basketball history. So Satu Sabli is the next big domino, I think, as far as free agent signings. I expect Alyssa Thomas to stay in Connecticut. I want to know where Courtney Vandersloot's going to go. I want to know what Kelsey Mitchell's going to do. And the draft is coming up. So, and all of this is going to hit really fast. You're going to look up, especially if you're a women's basketball fanatic, because you got crunch time with conference play. You've got, you've got Unrivaled. You got the one-on-one tournament and them going to the championship. You've got Athletes Unlimited. Then you're going to look up when those are done. March Madness will be here. And then we got the WNBA draft, and then we're going to be in training camp. So a lot of fun if you're a women's basketball fan. If you're a women's sports fan, this is a great time. And, the best part about it is we don't have to wait for May anymore. We got pro basketball and college basketball at its finest right now, and we're talking about it's January 27th. And who'd have thunk it that last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago in Las Vegas, sitting at a Golden Knights hockey game while two conference championships are being played, that the chatter on press row would be about Kelsey Plum being traded from the Las Vegas Aces. It was amazing. We're sitting at press row with people streaming the game, and then that trade comes down, and that's what we were talking about. Wild.
That's
wild.
That's pretty outstanding. Absolutely. Hey, before we let you go, Willie, what are your thoughts about Pete Carroll to the Raiders?
I think it's great. On the show that I do here in Vegas, ESPN Las Vegas, they asked me last week if I thought that it was a loss that Ben Johnson chose Chicago and didn't come to Vegas. And I said, no, I think it's a win because the person they should still be focused on and that they should go get is Pete Carroll. I think what's great about Pete Carroll coaching the Raiders is you have a guy like Tom Brady who Davis is sort of given the keys to the vehicle to. And when you have someone like that, and then you're bringing in a general manager, you don't want a yes man that's going to come in. And I think a coordinator was the last thing this particular franchise needed right now, to have a yes man come in with it, because it's not a talented roster anymore. They've lost some of their, but you still have very powerful personalities led by Max Crosby. And you're going to lose respect to your players if you're a yes man and you're just, him and Han doing whatever that the GM. I mean, you have to listen to your bosses. But with Pete Carroll, I think what you get is Spytech is going to be listening to Pete Carroll. Tom Brady is going to be listening to Pete Carroll, and vice versa. Pete Carroll will be listening to everybody, Mark Davis and Tom Brady. But the point is if Pete Carroll doesn't like something that he hears, he'll be able to offer his opinion or say, no, guys, trust me, I know what I'm talking about here. And they're going to have to respect his opinion. He's 73 years old. He's excuse me, he's got a Super Bowl resume. He's been around the block. He's a successful coach in college and the NFL. He's coached a lot of the greatest players ever. So I think that they have to respect him, and you don't have that, like I said, what I call as a yes man. You have a veteran coach who commands, demands, and deserves the respect no matter who they are. So I want to know what's going to happen at the quarterback position. He talked about it in the intro press conference. Talked about how they're going to protect the quarterback, but they're going to run the ball to protect him. They're going to block for him, but it's the most important. He said that one thing that he learned from Bill Walsh was how important really every part and facet of the quarterback position was, and he's never lost sight of that. So I want to know, are they going to draft for that? Are they going to stay at number 6 and maybe get a power running back? And maybe he brings in Geno Smith or Russell Wilson. That's been the talk the last couple of days. So really interested to see how this formulates leading up to the NFL draft. But I'm excited. I will leave you with this, guys. Very important for y'all to know. Late March, I will be in Nashville.
Oh,
tell us more.
Keep us posted.
Oh no, well, I'm not telling nothing on public.
Yeah.
But I'll be in touch with you privately. I will be at the Golden Knights game. They're playing the 29th. I've been very involved on social media with TikTok, and there's a couple of influencers that are very popular, and they do these battles and they do content creations. And I befriended them, and so they're actually a couple, 2 young ladies, and they're out there. So I timed it all together so I could visit our good friend Teresa Walker. Or I've never met her in person. We've only talked on the phone or emailed. And you guys are in Tennessee. The Golden Knights are playing in Tennessee. So I feel as if I got a nice little 5-day vacation, but at the same time get some work done, visit some people, and visit some place I've never been to that everybody calls Nash Vegas.
Well, keep us posted, man, because we certainly want to try to catch up if we're able to. So we look forward to that. And we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon. Look forward to getting with you again between now and your visit, and obviously catching up with you when you do visit. So, Willie, thank you.
Definitely. Let's maybe a 4-week season, I believe, athlete. Maybe we'll go mid-season Athletes Unlimited, and we'll catch up there.
Now we're talking.
Absolutely. Sounds good, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Willie.
Hey, let's take a quick break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Come back and wrap things up with the grab bag. Stay tuned.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Experience more than 1,000 all-new, handcrafted lanterns, towering creatures, magical worlds, and a North Pole village. At the center of it all, the Smashville Ice Rink. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
It's the final segment of the Monday Mirror here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and it's time to get into the grab bag. We spoke with Ann Kimmel from Penalty Box Radio last Friday after the Preds defeated San Jose for the second time in 3 nights. And the one concern that Ann expressed was shoring up the defense because they had given up 5 goals in each of their previous 2 outings and just managed to outshoot San Jose in both of those, winning 7-5 here in town and 6-5 out there. Well, gave up 5 goals again on Saturday, and that's not a winning formula as they lost at Anaheim 5-2.
Yeah, tough loss for the Preds. Anaheim had scored 5 in their last game versus Pittsburgh. So, it's kind of, you got to take the good with the bad. And we'll always have that winning streak. Hopefully there's better and brighter streaks to be had this year for Nashville, but that's kind of where this team is. They can't afford to overlook anybody. And on any given night, they could beat anybody. So, tough loss, bounce back, hopefully. Quick little swing out west and maybe start getting the mojo rolling back at home.
Yeah, they come back tomorrow night, right? Or is it Wednesday night for Vancouver? It's Wednesday night,
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, they've got Vancouver in here Wednesday, so maybe they can get to 6 out of 7 with that one. So we'll be keeping an eye on the suddenly surging Preds. Maybe they had maybe it was just a hiccup Saturday night. Don't want to read too much into one game, I don't guess. Wade, you talked about staying up for the Australian Open finals, did you?
Did not, and man, I'm kicking myself, Mo, because how about Madison Keys pulling it off, holding it down for the US of A, and absolutely stunning Sabalenka getting the Australian Open Championship, a epic performance. No, I was a little disappointed, and it's one of those deals. If I didn't stay up, I wasn't waking up. But major upset in the women's draw there.
What did you say? Keys was 19th?
I believe that's right.
Yeah.
She was close to 20th overall. She that was a massive upset on the
because Sabalenka was number 1. 6-3, 2-6, 7-5 Keys to win it over there. Like you said, huge upset there for the number 19 Madison Keys.
Said she wanted to play fearless, and fearless she did. And that's kind of what you have to do to knock off a player like Sabalenka. You just have to bring it to her. If you just sit back and rest, she's going to pick you apart. And so that aggressive style got Keys. That was really cool to see. And like I said, I woke up and was kind of kicking myself because I thought Sabalenka would probably cruise. But man, that's a good win for Keys, who's kind of been in that realm of, do we take her serious? Do we not take her serious? Can she ascend to the next level? And yes was the resounding answer Saturday morning.
Obviously, her first Grand Slam victory. She's been ranked as high as number 7, and I would imagine she will approach that after this victory. But again, was number 19 coming into the Australian Open and announced her presence with authority with this win over number 1 Sabalenka in 3 sets. Again, on the men's side, Sinner downs Zverev. I got it right. And I guess, I don't know how exciting it was once Joker had to retire in the semifinals against Zverev.
Yeah, certainly not the casual appeal, that's for sure. Sinner just does what he does. He is just cold, calculated, kind of like Zverev. It was kind of why the excitement factor for the men's final probably not there, certainly compared to the women, especially with no U.S. player being involved. Just kind of grind it out and go about your business on the men's side. And so no Djokovic, no Alcaraz, no Americans. Fritz got bounced a couple rounds prior. So, I mean, it was kind of ho-hum in the men's final, unfortunately. But still a good little run for everybody down under.
Sinner winning in straight sets, 6-3, 7-6, 6-3. And stopping Zverev, who was in his 3rd Grand Slam finals and is now 0 for 3.
Couldn't
tough
bust
way to
through.
go for him.
Yeah, couldn't bust through. And it felt like, especially if nothing else, was maybe the fresher of the two players, certainly having not played the full match prior versus Djokovic before he retired.
Saw a bunch of reminders on socials yesterday and couldn't quite figure out how the math worked, but yesterday was the 5th year, and I know anniversary probably isn't the right word for it, but Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter accident along with his daughter 5 years ago yesterday. And it happened on a Sunday. And I remember sitting around the house and just being stunned pretty much all day by that news. And it's been 5 years. It's kind of hard to believe.
Yeah. That's one that obviously kind of one of those remember where you were moments, but also, yeah, it's one of those moments you're like, holy cow, how's it already been 5 years?
Yeah. As I've said on various occasions, I guess, I never was a real big Kobe Bryant fan, but I just don't think you can overstate his importance to the game and, probably to that franchise and, to a generation of fans, I guess.
Yeah, and they made mention of it, at the end of the Chiefs game yesterday, that that was the last three-peat in major American sports was the Jacoby Lakers from 2000 to 2002. Some epic runs, obviously, in LA, and his career is going to go down as obviously one of the greatest. But man, that was a sad day, and that was smack dab. Everybody's right there on the cusp of COVID kicking in, and everything just kind of seemingly stopped when the news kind of reverberated. That's one that shook multiple landscapes, not just sports.
Yeah, and I think the thing that shook the most was, he had obviously stepped away from the game, but it felt like there was so much more out there for him. And I think that's what really kind of reverberated with so many people, that he was lost. And even though he had completed his playing career, you just felt like he was capable of a lot more off the floor and was headed toward, really accomplishing a lot off the floor. And you just hate to think of what he was unable to do, really. So, finally, it's interesting. Again, one of my proposed New Year's resolutions would be to spend less time on social media, but I did see that the newest Atlanta Brave, Jurickson Profar, has been assigned a jersey number.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting jersey number. I thought about it when we were talking to Kevin Ingram earlier in the show. Profar will wear number 7. Most recently worn by Brave shortstop, former Brave shortstop, current Chicago Cubs shortstop, and former Vandy boy, Dansby Swanson. So I don't quite know how that came about, but I'll be interested to see what the reaction is in the fan base to number 7 being given out to free agent outfielder Jurickson Profar down in Atlanta. It's going to be interesting. Dansby wore it and wore it well, but he gone. So we will see. That's going to do it for the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Be sure and join Wade and me tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We will be joined by Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, and check in to see who else we've got alongside. But it'll be fun, and hope to have y'all with us. Have a great Monday. Be sure and check out that South Carolina-Tennessee game, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.